Norse settlers in Greenland survived winters that dropped to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. No grocery stores, no supplement aisle, no insulated walls by any modern standard. And one food, costing them absolutely nothing, kept their joints working, their immune systems running, and their muscles firing through 4 months of darkness and killing cold. That same food is on a shelf in your pharmacy right now for $40 a month. You have probably suspected something was off about that. You are right. The communities that figured out how to survive a minus 40 winter did not luck their way through it. They had a specific piece of knowledge. It is not in any school curriculum. It is not in any doctor's office. And the reason it is not because it was forgotten. What comes next will explain exactly why. It starts with one decision. Not expensive, not technical. One decision that every northern household made before the sun went down in November. That decision is coming up. Look at the supplement aisle for a moment. You already know the prices. $35, $50, $80 for a container of white powder with clinical fonts on the label. Collagen peptides, hydrolyzed collagen, bone broth protein. The packaging implies discovery. It implies that someone, somewhere, in a laboratory, worked out something new. None of it is new. The global collagen supplement market was valued at $8.36 billion in 2022, according to Grandview Research. That $8 billion industry sells you one thing in multiple forms: the protein extracted from animal bones. The same protein your ancestors extracted from the same bones for free, in a clay pot over fire, every single winter for 10,000 years before a factory decided to package it. Medieval households paid nothing for this, not struggled to afford it, not search for it, paid nothing, and almost nobody is using it. The question you should be asking is this: when did that change? When did something every household produced for free become an $8 billion product? The answer is 1886. In a factory in Kempthal, Switzerland, a businessman named Julius Maggi introduced the commercial bouillon cube to working-class European households. Harvey Levenstein documents this in Revolution at the Table, published by Oxford University Press in 1988. The pitch was convenience. Drop the cube into hot water, skip the overnight simmer. The working household could now have stock in seconds. What the cube did not contain was collagen. Not the gelatin, not the minerals drawn from inside the bone matrix, not the glycine, not the fat from the marrow. It contained salt, processed fat, and flavoring compressed into a small block. It looked approximately like stock. It spread across European and American kitchens within 30 years because it could be seen on a shelf, marketed in a newspaper, and purchased without effort. An intact recipe cannot be invoiced. A cube can. Not wrong, made inconvenient, and then repackaged, labeled in clinical language and sold back to you for $40 a month. The year it was made inconvenient was 1886. Exactly how the original worked and what it actually contained, that is what comes next. Now go back to Greenland. The year is approximately 985 AD. Eric the Red settlers are establishing the first Norse farms in the Igaliku Fjord region of southern Greenland. Thomas McGovern of the City University of New York has spent over 4 decades excavating Norse Greenland sites. His published findings, compiled in peer-reviewed volumes including contributions to Arctic anthropology journals spanning the 1980s through 2000s, document in exact detail what those settlers ate through winter. They ate seal, caribou, fish, they kept cattle, sheep, and goats, and they processed every single bone from every animal they slaughtered. The bones were cracked open. The archaeological record at Gardar, the Norse Episcopal Center, now the UNESCO-recognized site at Igaliku, shows systematic splitting of femurs, cracked vertebrae, broken rib ends. The purpose was not waste removal. It was marrow extraction. Cracking the bone opens the interior cavity, which is packed solid with marrow. Marrow is roughly equal parts fat and protein. In a minus 40 environment, your body burns calories for heat as a continuous metabolic process. It does not stop when you stop moving. Thermal regulation runs through every sleeping hour of every winter night. Fat contains 9 calories per gram. Protein and carbohydrate contain 4. When your body is burning through reserves to stay warm, fat is the difference between enduring the winter and not struggling. Do you trust your tap water? The government and water companies are leaving dangerous toxins behind. Independent studies show chemicals they aren't even testing for. Your health is in your hands, not theirs. Stop paying for poisoned water. My guide reveals a $1 method to get 100% pure water at home. Scan the QR code or click the link below to get your free copy now. Going through it, dying from it. After the marrow was extracted, the cracked bones went into water, over low heat, for hours, sometimes overnight, sometimes a full day. The connective tissue still attached to the bone, ligaments, cartilage, and tendon remnants that even thorough butchering leaves behind, began to break down under sustained, gentle heat. The collagen in that tissue is built like a triple helix, 3 protein chains wound together, at around 160 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, well below a hard boil. That structure begins to unwind. The chains separate. They dissolve into the surrounding water as gelatin, and as they dissolve, the calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus locked inside the bone matrix slowly migrate into the liquid. What came out of that pot was not soup. It was a mineral and protein delivery system built by generations of observed outcome. The Norse did not know the chemistry. They did not need to. They knew that communities drinking from the pot survived winter in measurably better condition than communities that did not. Jette Arneborg of the National Museum of Denmark, who has published extensively on Norse Greenland subsistence since the 1990s, including work on zooarchaeological analysis at Gardar, corroborates this directly. Bone processing at Norse Greenland sites was not a desperation measure. It was a practiced, deliberate part of normal winter food production. This is not a new idea. That is the part most people never hear. Because if you hear it clearly once, the supplement aisle becomes very difficult to take seriously. Two civilizations reached the same conclusion independently. The Norse are the first. The Cistercian monasteries of medieval England are the second. Terence Scully, in The Art of Cookery in the Middle Ages, published by Boydell Press in 1995, the standard academic reference on medieval European culinary practice, documents that broths and pottages made from long-simmered animal bones formed the nutritional foundation of monastic winter food, not as a side item, as the primary hot preparation consumed multiple times daily by entire communities. At Fountains Abbey in Yorkshire, founded by Cistercian monks in 1132, housing communities of up to 300 men, kitchen records show a continuous bone broth operation running through every winter month. Bridget Ann Hennish, in Fast and Feast, Food in Medieval Society, published by Penn State University Press in 1976, adds specific weight to this picture. Northern monastic communities explicitly valued preparations rich in fat and gelatin through cold months, because the generational record demonstrated that communities without these preparations suffered more illness, more joint deterioration, and more winter deaths. Not as theory. As observed outcome across multiple generations, communities that made the broth survived better. Communities that did not, not wrong, inconvenient. Stay with this, but because the principle fits in a single sentence, and once you have it, you cannot unsee it. Long, slow heat applied to animal bones releases collagen, gelatin, glycine, proline, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus into the surrounding water. That one sentence is the entire collagen supplement industry, extracted, spray-dried, and sold back to you for $40 a month. Here's the kitchen comparison that makes it impossible to dismiss. You already know how to make tea. Hot water. Tea bag in. Wait. The compounds inside the dried leaves dissolve into the water. You drink what came out of the leaf, not the leaf itself. The extraction is the product. Bone broth is identical in mechanism. Bones and water, low heat, long time. The collagen in the connective tissue unwinds under sustained warmth. It dissolves as gelatin. The minerals in the bone matrix follow. After 8 to 24 hours, depending on the type of bone, the water contains everything the bone once held. You drink the water. The bone is spent. The water is the product. The second comparison involves the fat. When finished, broth cools, a fat layer forms on the surface. Modern instinct says, skim it away. That instinct is wrong. The fat layer is carrying vitamins A, D, E, and K, fat-soluble compounds that your body cannot absorb without a fat vehicle. They are not water-soluble. They need fat to move through the body at all. In a -40 winter, a deficit of fat-soluble vitamins weakens your immune response, slows bone metabolism, and degrades night vision in the low-light hours that make up most of a northern winter day. The Norse did not skim that fat. The monks at Fountains Abbey did not skim that fat. Hennish is explicit that northern medieval food culture understood fat in the broth as a nutritional feature, not a flaw to be removed. And here's the mistake, the one that quietly undoes the entire process. Most people who try this get the first step wrong. It is the difference between a broth that sets solid like gelatin when you put it in the refrigerator, which tells you the collagen extraction worked correctly, and a broth that stays thin as water, which tells you it did not. Most people never discover they made this mistake because they never test the result. They drink a thin liquid and assume that is what the process produces. That mistake is coming up. Here's what you need. I want to be honest about every number. Bones. Chicken carcasses from a roasted bird, beef marrow bones or knuckle bones from a butcher, pork feet, lamb necks, any animal, any combination. If you roast a chicken this week, the carcass is your primary ingredient. If you eat beef, ask your butcher for marrow bones before you pay for them. In most of North America and the United Kingdom, butchers sell these for under $2 per pound. Many give them away at no charge. Some will fill a bag for free if you ask before they go in the bin. Water, enough to cover the bones by 2 full inches. Apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon per quart of water. This is not for flavor. The mild acidity shifts the pH just enough to accelerate mineral extraction from the bone matrix. Calcium and magnesium ions migrate into slightly acidic water more readily than into neutral water. Sally Fallon-Morell documents this practice specifically in Nourishing Traditions, published in 1999, and the underlying chemistry, acid-facilitated mineral leaching from calcium phosphate structures, is standard and well established. Optional additions, for flavor only: half an onion, a carrot, a stalk of celery, a bay leaf, a small handful of peppercorns. These do not change the nutritional extraction. That is genuinely it. Now, here is the one thing most people get wrong: temperature. Not the bones, not the thyme, not the vinegar. The temperature. Most people bring the pot to a full rolling boil because that is what cooking looks like. A boil is fast, it is active, it feels productive, and it is just not for this. Collagen dissolves slowly. The triple helix protein structure in connective tissue is built for mechanical durability. It resists force. It does not release quickly under violence. It releases gradually, under sustained gentle warmth, across many hours. A hard boil creates turbulence that physically agitates the gelatin proteins before they fully dissolve, breaking them into fragments too small to form a proper gel. It also drives off water faster than collagen can release into the liquid, concentrating salts and producing a cloudy, thin result with degraded protein structure. Think of dissolving honey. Stir honey into warm water and it dissolves cleanly in minutes. Drop it into a violent boil and it scorches, foams, and breaks apart before it can dissolve. The mechanism is the same. Slow warmth extracts. Violent heat destroys. Correct temperature. The surface of the water should barely move. Occasional small bubbles rising from the bottom. Nothing more than that. For chicken, 8 to 12 hours. For beef, pork, or lamb, 18 to 24 hours. To test when you are done, pour a small amount into a glass jar. Refrigerate for 4 hours. If the broth has set to a firm, jiggly gel, the consistency of commercial gelatin, the collagen extraction worked. If it stays liquid, the temperature was too high or the time was too short. The Norse settler at Gardar achieved this by banking the fire before sleeping and returning to the pot in the morning. The monks at Fountains Abbey managed it through a kitchen roster that kept someone checking the fire through the night. Different methods, the same result validated by centuries of daily practice in conditions that left absolutely no room for techniques that did not work. This is the step most people skip. They skip it because 24 hours sounds inefficient. A pressure cooker can complete basic mineral extraction in 2 to 3 hours, and it works, and the mineral content is comparable. But the gelatin structure under high pressure is less complete. The firm cold set gel is harder to achieve. For everyday use, a pressure cooker is a reasonable shortcut. For maximum extraction, the overnight low simmer method is what 1,000 years of documented practice converged on independently across multiple northern civilizations. Now think at scale. What one household does with this principle is useful. What a community of 300 did with the same principle through a 4-month winter, every day without a single bill, changes how you think about the whole problem. At the Fountains Abbey, founded 1132, North Yorkshire, housing up to 300 Cistercian monks, with winters consistently below freezing for months at a stretch, the kitchen maintained what historical records describe as a perpetual pot. Scully's analysis of monastic kitchen records in The Art of Cookery in the Middle Ages describes the practical operation precisely: a large iron or copper vessel that never fully emptied. New bones and fresh water were added as broth was ladled off. The fire beneath it was managed continuously. Over the course of a winter, the single vessel produced the nutritional foundation of every hot preparation that left the kitchen: pottage, grain preparations, vegetable soups built on the broth base, direct drinking broth served hot to the sick and elderly in the infirmary. 300 men, 4 months of winter. Every gram of collagen, every mineral, every glycine molecule from that kitchen came from bones that would otherwise have been discarded. No bills, no infrastructure, no asking anyone's permission. The supplement industry looked at that practice and saw a product. They extracted the collagen in industrial vats. They hydrolyzed it, broke the protein chains into smaller fragments that dissolve more easily in cold water. They spray dried the result. They packaged it with clinical language and sold it to you for $40 a month. The chemistry they replicate in the factory is the chemistry your pot replicates overnight on your stove. The result is functionally the same. One version costs $40 a month. The other costs what you were going to throw away anyway. One condition where this works less well: the bones from factory-farmed, grain-fed animals carry a different fat profile than the bones from pasture-raised animals used by the Norse and the Cistercian monks. Their animals ate grass and forage. Grass-fed animals produce fat with a higher omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. Factory-farmed, grain-fed animals produce a reversed ratio: more omega-6, less omega-3. Both broths provide the same collagen extraction, the same gelatin, the same glycine, the same minerals. The mineral and protein extraction is not affected by how the animal lived. But the fat you consume with the broth, and you should keep that fat, not skim it, is of higher quality from pasture-raised sources. Grass-fed beef bones at a farmer's market or local butcher typically cost $1 to $3 per pound more than commodity bones. Over a year of weekly broth making, that premium adds roughly $50 to $200 total, still considerably less than 12 months of collagen supplements at $40 a month. But it is not zero. If you want the full, honest picture, that is it. If you use commodity bones, you're still extracting the collagen, you're still getting the minerals, you're still making what the Norse made at Gardar in the year 1000. It works either way. The fat quality is the one variable worth knowing about, and now you know it. Right now, somewhere, a factory is processing beef knuckle bones in industrial vats. The water is heated. The collagen extracts. The liquid evaporates in commercial dryers. The result becomes powder. The powder goes into a white bag. The bag goes on a shelf for $40, with a label that says hydrolyzed collagen peptides. In southern Greenland, around the year 1000 AD, a Norse woman added water to a clay pot of cracked bones before the fire went low for the night. By morning, the water had done its work. Her family drank it before going out into a temperature of 40 below. The physics still works. Collagen still dissolves in slow, sustained heat. Your body still needs glycine and proline and calcium and magnesium in winter, exactly the way it needed them at Gardar in the year 1000. What those settlers built into their daily winter routine: the pot on the banked fire, the long overnight simmer, the fat left in, the morning test for the cold set gel. It does the same thing today that it did then. I don't know what brought you here. Maybe the supplement bill. Maybe the winter that hit harder than usual. Maybe just a quiet feeling that something in the grocery store stopped making sense somewhere along the way. It doesn't matter. It works either way.